There are several ways of performance. You could be good, you could be great, you could be excellent. What I am asking from you and myself is to be outstanding. Excellent is not enough. We need to find our best and then go beyond it.
Are you ready to transform your life? This is a no-nonsense show helping immigrants like you create generational wealth, even while working full-time. Get ready to take notes. Here's your host, Saket Jain.
Greetings, Migrate to Wealth Nation. This is your host, Saket Jain. In today's session, we will discuss the basics of developing your own wealth blueprint. A quick disclaimer, I'm not a financial advisor, and more importantly, I'm not your financial advisor. So what I share here are my opinions. Please consult with your own advisors before implementing any strategies that we talk on this show. So let's get started. Before we get too deep, I always plan to define the words. We have two words in wealth and blueprint. So if you've been listening to our show, you know by now that we're not referring to money, finances when we talk about wealth. Instead, we take a more holistic approach towards wealth with a focus to live a fulfilled and enriched life. While money is an important aspect of wealth, wealth for us is way more than that. We will discuss this in more detail a little later in this episode. The word blueprint should be self-explanatory, but let's take a look at that as well. Think of a blueprint of a house. The blueprint is developed before the house is built. The purpose of a blueprint, one may ask, is to make sure that all the thinking is done up front while designing the house and making sure that the engineering supports the design. Without a blueprint, a plumber, the technician, the electrician, the framers, and all the other trades that are involved in building a house will not know what to build. You can just imagine what kind of a clash that will cause, a chaos. While most of us may not have seen our house blueprints, you by now understand it is almost impossible to build one without it. So a wealth blueprint is a plan, a detailed sketch of how various aspects of our life are going to work to ensure that we live a fulfilled life. It is the plan that you define. What we talk about is living life by design. This is exactly how you do that. You can call a wealth blueprint a strategy, your plan, your approach. There's so many different words you can use, but I believe it's best described with the word blueprint. But you know what? Let's not get stuck with a word. You can call whatever you want to call it as. But for the purposes of this show, we're going to be calling that as wealth blueprint. Our wealth blueprint is to make our life outstanding in 7 F's of your life. Before you go too crazy with the letter F, let's define what those 7 F's are. The first one is faith, and they're not in any specific order. The first one is faith, family, finance, fitness, friends, fun, and future. To live a fulfilled life, all the 7 F's have to be in harmony. Imagine that each of the 7 F's is a spoke in a wheel. If the spokes on the wheel are of different lengths, can you imagine the shape of the wheel? And more importantly, can you imagine what kind of ride we will have? If we were using these kind of wheels in our car, the ride will be super bumpy. But yet, we live our life in an imbalance of these F's. For some, finances is everything. And they sacrifice everything else for that. For others, it may be family. For someone else, it may be fitness. Most of us excel in few of the areas, not all of the areas. You may excel in F for finance, but you may sacrifice to excel and to be outstanding in your finances. You may sacrifice the time with your family, or your health suffers. So this creates a very jazzy wheel because of the length of different spokes, which create a ton of friction in the life. We want our wheel to be as circular as possible. That's an ideal wheel. a wheel that is circular. We want our 7Fs to be in balance, to be in harmony. Once in a while, something needs our attention. We give the attention it needs. So someday your finances may need your help, or some other day somebody at home may be sick and they need your help. So we give it the attention we need. What we can't say is that, hey, you know what, I've got 24 hours, I'm going to split my time equally. It's not about the time. It's about the quality of the time. You could spend a minute and make an impact on somebody's life versus you can spend 5 hours and be looking on your phone all the time. So these are the elements when we talk about focusing on these 5 Fs. And while you're in a specific F, focus on that. It's a constant effort, right, to keep it balanced. It's not something that you say that, hey, you know what, I'm going to achieve that in the next 2 months and then I'm done. Once you achieve in the next 2 months, something else will happen in your life. And that's going to throw these Fs off balance. It's a constant work. Now, you know what? Of course, there's a very quick hack to doing all of this. You can suck at everything equally. So you have a score of 0 or 1 on each aspect of your life. Now you can say that, hey, Saket, I'm living a balanced life. And yes, you are. And I can't argue with you. However, I know that's not why you're listening to this show. You're listening to this show because you are a high achiever and you don't want to lower your standards just to achieve something. But instead, you are starving. And I'm using that word very consciously. You're starving to be outstanding in each and every area of your life. Just so happens right now, you may be focusing on 2 or 3 or 4 out of 7. But that's not because you intentionally wanted to leave him out. You thought that there's a plan for you to approach that. Now, let's also define the word outstanding. Let's pay a little attention to it. There are several ways of performance, or several levels of performance. You could be just enough, you could be good, you could be great, you could be excellent. What I am asking from you and myself is to be outstanding. We're not even going to be excellent. Excellent is not enough. We need to find our best and then go beyond it. That is what will get us fulfilled. So not your job security or living a mediocre life where our relationship sucks, our health sucks, our finances suck. You're not living. We're not going to live because we have been spared some breaths, but we're going to thrive. Our commitment, your commitment and my commitment to each other is to be outstanding. Let's put this intention out there that we acknowledge our inefficiencies. No one's perfect, but we will strive to be outstanding in each and every area. My weakest area is fitness and family. And I'm committing to you publicly to be the best I can be in these 2 areas for sure, and then go even beyond that. The process of defining your wealth building is one of the most important things you will do for yourself and your family. If you're listening to this episode along with your partner, great. If you're not, I would recommend sharing the episode with your partner, or at least sharing the learnings of the episode with your partner, so you can both do that exercise. And if you don't have a partner, find a friend, find a business. It's always better to do these exercises and this process in pairs, so you can compare notes. So my intentionality behind my blueprint has enabled me to quit my W-2 job. Last Friday, December 2nd, was my last day as an employee. And that single thing has provided me the freedom of time and choice to focus on things that only I can do. Spend time with my 2 daughters, be the husband my wife deserves, be in the best health I can be, and most importantly, fulfill my impact goal of sponsoring K-12 education for underprivileged kids. I have personally kept it on most of these things at the back burner. But it's time. It's time to bring them up, because these are some of my F's, Spending time with my daughter and be the husband my wife deserves, that's my family. being the best health I can be, that's a fitness. And most important goal, which is the impact goal, that's all about our fun, faith, future. So now let's discuss the tactics of defining the blueprint. We talked about a framework. We talked about these 7 F's. How do you go deeper into the 7 F's to come up with an approach where you can define what you're going to do next? There's really about a set of 5 or 6 questions, right? And they're very simple questions. The questions are simple. That does not mean the answers will be simple or the answers are there. So the first question is, pick a 7F. Pick F of finance for now, for example. Ask these 5, 6 questions to yourselves and answer them not while you're driving. I want you to sit down, focus on it, bring a notebook, bring a notepad, and write with a pen and paper. That's really where your neuron starts to activate. So the first question is, what do you like about your current situation? Let me repeat the question. What do you like about your current situation? We need to acknowledge what we like, what we think is good in that aspect of life. What do you not like about it? And this is where we go deeper into that. Why do you not like what you not like about it? Like, what is your reason? Because everything that we want to do, we want to go deeper, right? And what changes would you like to make to improve what you don't like? Now, for this specific question, don't constrain yourself on, I only want to pick 3 or 5 or 10. If you got 100 items of the 100 changes that you would want to make, list all of them. Don't worry about if they're realistic or non-realistic. We're going to attack that a little bit later. Question number 5 is, what do you think may be your biggest impediment to making these changes? So in the question number 4, whatever list you had, what is your biggest impediment to making those changes if you had all the resources available at your disposal? And question number 6 is, how will you overcome that? You may choose a coach, you may choose a mentor, you may choose a friend. How would you create some leverage in your life that you can overcome those impediments and achieve what you want to achieve to make improvements in those F's? Now, I know the process can be overwhelming, right? I mean, the 6 questions times 7 F's, 42 times you have to repeat this thing. So I understand that, and I appreciate what the process is, but stick with it. You will see these areas in your life. You will see, when you go through this process, you will see there are areas in your life that you have never paid attention to. And this will force you to consciously design those aspects of your life. There's good and bad in every F, right? But that your good and bad can be different than my good and bad. What is bad for you may be very good for me. I just don't know that. And that's where pairing up with somebody that you feel comfortable sharing this with is going to make an explosive impact in your life. Trust me on that. I've been doing this for a while. Now, once you are through with these questions, now you say that, in question number 4, the question number 4 was, what changes would you like to make to improve what you don't like about that specific app? You got 50, 20, 30 number of items that you want to change. That list, while great, and you keep it with you, that list, but it may be overwhelming, right? Because the brain starts to think, this is too many changes, and I don't want to, and I cannot make those changes. It's going to make you believe that it's not going to happen, right? To counter that, to interrupt that thought process, we're going to pick 3 things that you want to change about each F. Right? Just 3. Pick any 3. It could be the low-hanging fruit, or it could be the hardest thing. My recommendation is that don't pick things that are too hard, which are right now in your reality very hard to achieve. Pick something that you can do. What happens when you pick something that you can do is you create a positive feedback. There are a lot of changes you're going to be making in who you are, in your life, and in your ecosystem. And we want to create a positive feedback loop by making progress and getting small wins, right? Small wins are necessary. If you pick something too hard, which is all of us high achievers have a problem that we want to pick the hardest challenge because we believe we need to overcome that and we will overcome that. And that's a great thinking. However, when we talk about these changes, we're looking at micro changes, right? So we need to make sure we motivate ourselves to continuously make changes. So if we're not having those small wins, we're not going to trust the process. So the goal is to trust the process. So let's summarize, right? So we got to build a robust wealth blueprint. We need to focus on 7 F's in our life: faith, family, finance, fitness, friends, fun, and future. Not in any specific order. We're going to lead. There is a reason of why I picked the way I picked these 7, but don't worry about it right now. We'll discuss that at some other point. For each of the 7F, we're going to ask the question, what do you like about your current situation? What do you not like about it? Why do you not like it? What changes would you like to make to improve what you don't like? What do you think may be your biggest impediment to making these changes? And how will you overcome that impediment? What leverage would you create in your life to help you overcome that? So good luck with the process. I do this process every quarter, and I find it very rewarding. Hope you do as well. Now, you know what? If you need my help with this process or have any specific questions regarding the process, please feel free to schedule a call. Use me as a resource. The link to schedule a call with me is included in the show notes below. Thanks for tuning in. I will see you soon.
If you got value from this episode, you might consider sharing this content with a friend. But most importantly, be sure to take action on what you've learned. One way you can take the next step is to connect directly with Saket on an investor call. That link is waiting for you in the show notes below.
The content of this podcast is for informational purposes only. Please consult your own advisors when making any investment decisions. Keep listening. We'll see you on the next episode.